hello. It seems to me that FiiO decided to end this year on a super major note and over-dominate everyone with the amount of new products they announced and released and delivered to the market. I have like big separate queue of their products, and let's start sorting them out. And today we will talk about their new updated multi-balanced armature model FA7S. If you remember, they already have a model named FA7. Of course, I reviewed it some time ago, but actually this model I can't call the development of that one, because it's just a new model that is targeted to the similar price tier. Because here we have different design, different package, different driver configuration, and actually a different sound. So everything was changed, and even they've added 2 extra balanced armatures. Regular FA7 was a 4 balanced armature model, but now it's a 6 balanced armature model, and the drivers separated into 3 bands. So 2 for low frequencies, 2 for mids, and 2 for treble. Recommended price in the United States is $340. In some countries it's slightly higher due to customs and different things. So that's all for introduction, and actually let's have a closer look. As you can see, package is traditional for the FiiO. I like that new approach. I like this foiled finish, great combination of glossy materials and other textures, and even foiling here actually adding a hint of additional realism to the earpiece itself. Earphones made of metal, and that foiling gives an extra effect of realism here. And some kind of plots on the sides, but the most interesting, of course, parts are inside, so let's dig in. Here is the box. Inside of that sleeve there is internal box, and as usual FiiO did their best to give you the maximum amount of accessories and other stuff. So you'll get earphones, storage case, but we'll go back to the case a bit later. Huge set of tips, different balanced, vocal, foam, double flange, bass one, magnet clip tool for cable organization, pretty tightly fitting one with strong magnets inside, pretty convenient. You'll get a cleaning tool and 2 replaceable jacks, because here FiiO gives the new cable with modular jack system. And here is the case, and even more accessories are here, and that's a nice tool to disconnect MMCX connectors. So as you can see, accessory set is kind of huge, probably a proper word here. So let's put that aside and let's focus on the earpieces themselves. In terms of design, they are also great. They are made of stainless steel with superb finish. They are shiny, they are accurately machined, and looks really well. On the FiiO's website there is a description about the finishing process. It includes electroplating, hand polishing, and so on. But what is important here, they look really stylish. Interesting combination of silver material and that each on the face plates. So they are blue actually on both sides, and they are semi-open by design, and it's done on purpose to adjust the internal pressure, so there will be less discomfort if you're putting them into ears with tightly fitting tips. And actually, as for sound isolation, it doesn't affect isolation too much. It still will be enough for public transport or noisy street, but of course in subway or during the trip by some old plane it could be problematic, but in that cases, of course, all earphones will fail, except a few really deep-fitting models. Spouts have a slightly above average length, they have a proper angle, so they fitting nicely into ears and provides a nice, comfortable, secure fit. There is a lip for holding the tips and of course grill to protect the internals of earphones from different derbies falling inside, and they hold tips really well, providing good secure fit. Build quality of course is really nice, everything is done in a really good and accurate way. Cable is made replaceable, here used pretty tight MMCX connectors, but still you can disconnect them applying a bit of extra force. Cable itself is pretty good, it's silver plated monocrystalline copper with good connectors and with ear hooks formed, and itself it's slightly softer than average, not super soft but softer than average. It looks attractive, it's braided nicely, so you can see that it's a pretty decent cable for the earphones of this level. Here is a splitter with chin slider, and after splitter it goes braided down to the modular jack. And as usual you can unscrew the jacket and pull jack out for replacement. So with one cable you can get all type of connectors, so both 3.5mm, 4.4 and 2.5, and actually looks like it's becoming a de facto standard for the earphone cables. Many companies adopt a similar approach, and FiiO are ahead of others in this aspect, but it's really convenient and really good for users. So to summarize this part, in terms of all exterior things, everything is close to perfection. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 60 hours of burn-in, but FA7 didn't, or FA7S of course, didn't change the sound during that process, but it's okay, as balanced armatures rarely change the sound during the burn-in. If you'll decide to get them, it's much more important to experiment with different tips and find the pair that will fit both your ears and your taste, because it's pretty important to find the tips that will give you proper sound isolation. And tips here noticeably impact the sound, not hugely, but their impact is noticeable. And I will describe the sound for the balanced tips because I like them more, but in vast majority of situations balanced tuning is the best one. As a player, for examples, I will use SP2000 Ultima, and for the FA7S, FiiO decided to create relatively neutral but not dull representation with slightly accented low frequencies and even slightly less accented treble. And actually by frequency response they seems to be accented more, but in fact they are not that bassy as a fair chart can suggest. But at the same time they've added focus on the micro contrast and did it in a really interesting way. They sound energetic, they sound accented on the realism, but at the same time they're not sounding dry and monitoring. It's actually a balanced armature earphones created to surprise you, to give you that wow effect, sometimes even surpassing the original effect of the records. So bass is typical balanced armature bass. It's pretty impactful, it has a good punch, it goes pretty deep, but at the same time it's on the faster side of things, and it's not trying to add some weight, so it's not a typical dynamic driver, massive low frequencies. So if you prefer such low frequencies with accent on the texturing and small nuances, it could be a really great option for you. If you like more weight, if you like bigger bass that tries to overwhelm you, probably it's better to consider some hybrid or dynamic driver models by FiiO. and you'll get a really great amount of small nuances and details, so instruments with real overtones sounds really great and engaging. Of course, typical examples are double bass, fortepiano, and so on. Electronic music sounds also pretty okay, but definitely not for those who like bass head type of representation. And first example, it's a glitch mob, our demons. Actually, it's that example of the track where I'd prefer more weighty low frequencies, because lows here plays important role and they need a bit more weight. But at the same time, thanks to good impact and thanks to the boosted low frequencies, they don't sound too bass shy. At least for me, it's all a matter of preferences, of course. And where they start showing their strengths most of all, it's tracks like this one. It's Wardruna, Iwar, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's great folk with modern interpretations, and they have low kicking drums, they have a lot of stuff like throat thinning and a lot of different instruments that goes to the low frequency area and have a lot of overtones, and these earphones show it really nicely. Mid frequencies are really detailed, but not going too far in this aspect. They don't sound too sharp, and they don't boost that upper mid region too much, so they don't sound metallic or too unnatural. At the same time, they require good, well-recorded tracks, because they're not trying to add some weight, and so to get proper weight distribution, to get proper body, you'll need a well-recorded instrument. But when they are present in record, you'll get great body, you'll get a nice amount of emotions, you'll get overwhelming amount of details and small nuances and so on. And another strong part of these earphones, it's stage. It's really big, especially in width. Depth is also really good, but width is one of the biggest, even comparing with flagships. So if you like spacious soundstage, this model can be an option. But still, of course, keep in mind that stage is subjective, and your outcome can be a bit different here. And as a first result of mid frequencies, it's one of my most favorite albums and tracks ever. It's Camel, Rhayader, really great. Actually, probably they were considered as a progressive rock, but in general, this album in particular, it's more of a symphonic poem or just some piece of modern classical music with absolutely charming tunes, with catchy melody, with good wind instruments and so on. I really like it, and if you like instrumental music, it could be, and if you haven't heard it, just check it out, it's great. And it's saturated with small nuances, and these earphones is just great in representing them all. And second example, it's Alan Parsons project, Closer to Heaven. Great high-pitched male vocal that sounds really good, and interesting instrumental part that these earphones also delivers nicely, and thanks to the spacious stage they will surprise you with a sense of dimension realism here. And treble, it's pretty detailed and it's slightly boosted, it has a bit of boosted energetic, but to my ears it doesn't sound sharp, it doesn't sound bright, it's just a proper amount of treble. Of course, attacks and decays are a bit faster than they should be, it's typical for the balanced armatures, and they sound really clean, clear, with good clarity, with good airiness and so on. Overtone saturation is really good, but layering of course is basic, or slightly better than basic, but it's typical for that price tier, so for each layering it's better to consider some more expensive models like FA9 for example, And actually I wonder, will FiiO re-release FA9 in more modern shell or not? And let's go for examples for the treble. First example, it's John Zorn, I Want to Live. Actually really abstract music with lot of instruments, with that screaming saxophone, with lot of different other instruments participating in the recording, and they all goes pretty high to the treble area, and these earphones render these high frequencies with ease. And second example, as you can see by the album cover, it's World Greatest Audiophile Vocal Recordings Volume 3. Really good compilation by Chesky. If I remember right, they have 4 parts, and Melissa Menago, Smoke Signs. It's, as name suggests, it's World Greatest Audiophile Vocal Recording, so it's a great female vocal, goes to pretty high and properly recorded instrumental part that also has a lot of things in treble area, and you understand that it's a really tough test for the high frequencies, but FA7S pass it without any problems. Speaking about the pairings, it's better to get some good player with them. They are natural and energetic, and to highlight, to showcase all that aspects fully, you need some technical source, so probably at least FiiO FA11 Plus or something from the higher domain is required for them, because they have a potential to scale with the source. And speaking about the conversions, what we've got in this price tier, actually see Audio Bravery that I reviewed recently. They have, a bit similar tuning, but FiiO goes a bit further in portraying small nuances, in highlighting emotions, in terms of energetic, so they boosting that wow factor even further. And older FA7, they are totally different. They were much more weightier, darker sound, so really different model in terms of sound. I don't know, High-B Crystal 4, it's more natural, more monitoring, and sounds drier and more focused on the micro contrast. Maybe, AudioSense DT600, they are vice versa. They have more bass, they have more weight on low frequencies, so they are a bit more V-shaped. Definitely there are a lot of other models in this price range, pure balanced armatures. I'm not doing comparisons with dynamic drivers and with hybrids, because pretty expectably you'll get more weight on the low frequencies at least, and you at the same time you'll get a bit less details in that part that corresponds to the dynamic driver. So in my opinion, it makes more sense in comparing earphones with similar types of drivers. So maybe there are some other models in this price tier, but unfortunately I can't recall them right now. So you can ask in the comments if you need some additional comparisons, and if I know that models, if I remember them, their sound, of course, I'll try to provide some brief comparisons. But currently I can summarize that FiiO created a really good model. It's really exciting in terms of design and outer look, and they are exciting in terms of sound. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.